In this video we're going to look at the verbs to be and to have in the past and future tense. We've already looked at them in the present tense and used the present tense of to be to form the present continuous tense for any verb we want. And this was discussed in video 9. If we know to be and to have in the past and future, we can form all sorts of other tenses in the past and future for any verb we choose. So let's start with the past tense. The first question we have to ask is which past tense? There are several, just as in English, where we can say I ate, I have eaten, I had eaten, and so on. So the one that we want is called the imperfect tense. This is used when an action was repeated in the past, such as we used to go to school every day. Or it can be used to describe a state. The sea was very blue. You were very happy at that time. It can be used in other situations as well, but let's concentrate on these two. So here are some examples for the verb ate, to be. J'étais raide lasai la semaine passée.
J'étais raide lasai la semaine passée.
J'étais raide lasai la semaine passée.
J'étais raide lasai la semaine passée. I was very tired last week. T'étais à la bagnole quasi tous les jours.
T'étais à la bagnole quasi tous les jours.
T'étais à la bagnole quasi tous les jours.
Yeah. T'étais à la bagnole quasi tous les jours. You were bathing in the sea nearly every day. Il te teru ishai.
Il te teru ishai.
Il te teru ishai.
Il te teru ishai. He was always here. Al te teru la.
Al te teru la.
Al te teru la.
Al te teru la. She was always there. Nous étions à la ville toutes les semaines.
Nous étions à la ville tous les semaines.
Nous étions à la ville tous les semaines.
Nous étions à la ville toutes les semaines. We were in town every week. Vous étiez tranquille dans chute pièce là.
Vous étiez tranquille dans chute pièce là.
Vous étiez tranquille dans chute pièce là.
Vous étiez tranquille dans chute pièce là. You were quiet in that place. Il était au cabaret tous les jeudis.
Il était au cabaret tous les jeudis.
Il était au cabaret tous les jeudis.
Il était au cabaret tous les jeudis. They were at the pub every Thursday. Right, so let's go through the verb endings again. J'étais, I was.
J'étais.
J'étais.
J'étais, I was. T'étais, you were.
T'étais.
T'étais.
T'étais, you were. Il t'est,
Il.
he was.
Il t'est.
Il t'est.
Il t'est, he was. Al t'est, she was.
Al t'est.
Al t'est.
Al t'est, she was. Nous étions, we were.
Nous étions.
Nous étions.
Nous étions, we were. Vous étiez, you were.
Vous étiez.
Vous étiez.
Vous étiez, you were. Il t'est, they were.
Il t'est.
Il t'est.
Il t'est, they were. Okay, so let's go through the same exercise, but now for the verb avait, to have. J'avais un bon déjeuner tous les jours.
J'avais un beau déjeuner tous les jours.
J'avais un bon déjeuner tous les jours.
J'avais un bon déjeuner tous les jours. I had a good breakfast every day. T'avais souvent du pain pour ton dîner.
T'avais souvent du pain pour ton dîner.
T'avais souvent du pain pour ton dîner.
T'avais souvent du pain pour ton dîner. You often had fish for your dinner. Il avait teru faim.
Il avait teru faim.
Il avait teru faim.
Il avait teru faim. He was always hungry, or he always had hunger, essentially. Elle avait teru se.
Elle avait teru se.
Elle avait teru se.
Elle avait teru se. She was always thirsty, or she always had thirst. Nous avait teru en palme après notre dîner.
Nous avait teru en palme après notre dîner.
Nous avait teru en palme après notre dîner.
Nous avait teru en palme après notre dîner. We always had an apple after our dinner. Vous avez souvent mal à la tête.
Vous avez souvent mal à la tête.
Vous avez souvent mal à la tête.
Vous avez souvent mal à la tête. You often had a headache. Ils avaient une goutte quasi tous les jours.
Il avait une goutte quasi tous les jours.
Il avait une goutte quasi tous les jours.
Il avait une goutte quasi tous les jours. They had a drink nearly every day. So the verb endings are j'avais, I had.
J'avais,
J'avais,
I had. T'avais,
t'avais,
you had. Il avait,
il avait,
that he had. Elle avait,
elle avait,
she had. Nous avait,
nous avait,
we had. Vous avez, you had. And ils avaient, they had. So notice that the endings here are exactly as for 8. It's AIS for je and tu, AIT for il and al and nous, AITES for vous, and AIENT for the plural il. In fact, these endings are the same for all verbs. For example, il lisait les papiers tous les jours.
il lisait le papier tous les jours.
Il lisait le papier tous les jours.
Yeah, il lisait le papier tous les jours. He read the paper every day. So in this case, there's a double L, which is frequently pronounced as Y in Guernsey. That's why we say lisait. So, although the endings are the same, it's the stem of the verb on which we put the ending that's not always so obvious. Okay, so that was in the imperfect tense. Now let's look at the future tense. So we're going to look at ate and ave in the future tense. This is a simple future tense, used to describe events which will happen in the future. He will go out at 8 o'clock. We will eat lunch a little later today. Things like that. So in English, there are no verb endings for the future tense, and we have to use will to convey the notion of something happening in the future. We will go out, we will eat, and so on. In Guernsey, like many other languages, there is a future tense with specific endings. Okay, so let's start with some examples from the verb ate, to be. Je serai fier quand cela est fini.
Je serai fier quand cela est fini.
Je serai fier quand cela est fini.
Yeah. Je serai fier quand cela est fini. I'll be happy when that's finished. Tu seras moulu demain.
Tu seras moulu demain.
Tu seras moulu demain.
Tu seras moulu demain. You'll be sore tomorrow. Il sera tout pion à cesser.
Il sera tout pion à cesser.
Il sera tout pion à cesser.
Yeah. Il sera tout pion à cesser. He'll be completely drunk this evening. Ashra malade si à mange chena.
Ashra malade si à mange chena.
Ashra malade si à mange chena.
Ashra malade si à mange chena. She'll be ill if she eats that. Nous sera là dans 5 minutes.
Nous sera là dans 5 minutes.
Nous sera là dans 5 minutes.
Nous sera là dans 5 minutes. We'll be there in a few minutes. Vous serez en Angleterre la semaine qui vient.
Vous serez en Angleterre la semaine qui vient.
Vous serez en Angleterre la semaine qui vient.
Vous serez en Angleterre la semaine qui vient. You'll be in England next week. Il sera à l'école l'année qui vient.
Il sera à l'école l'année qui vient.
Il sera à l'école l'année qui vient.
Il sera à l'école l'année qui vient. They'll be at school next year. Right, so the verb endings are je serai,
Je serai,
Je serai,
je serai, I will be. Tu seras,
tu seras,
tu seras,
tu seras, you will be. Il sera,
il sera,
il sera,
il sera, he will be. Ashra,
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 Ashra, she will be. Nous sera,
nous sera,
nous sera,
nous sera, we will be. Vous serez,
vous serez,
vous serez,
vous serez, you will be. Il sera,
il sera.
il sera,
il sera, they will be. And so finally the verb ave, to have in the future tense. J'irai de la gauche à cesser.
J'irai de la gauche à cesser.
J'irai de la gauche SSA.
J'irai de la gauche à cesser. I'll have some cake this evening. Terra de la viade prouve tour denai.
Terra de la viade porto denai.
Terra de la viade porto denai.
Terra de la viade prouve tour denai. You'll have some meat for your dinner. Il ira à boito.
Il ira un boto.
Il ira un porto.
Il ira à boito. He'll have a good time. Al ira de la poigne do chuchola.
Alara de la poigne do chuchola.
Alara de la poigne do chuchola.
Al ira de la poigne do chuchola. She'll have some trouble with that dog. Nous ira du bioto.
Nous ira de bioto.
Nous ira de Pioto.
Nous ira du bioto. We'll have some good weather. Vous irai à Péraison.
Vous irai à Perso.
Vous ira à Person.
Vous irai à Péraison. You'll have a present. Ils iraient enama affaire.
Il ira enema affaire.
Il ira enema affaire.
Ils iraient enama affaire. They'll have a lot to do. And the endings are j'irai.
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 J'irai, I will have. Terra.
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 Terra, you will have. Il ira.
Il ira.
Il ira.
Il ira, he will have. Al ira.
Alara.
Alara.
Al ira, she will have. Nous ira.
Nous ira.
Nous ira.
Nous ira, we will have. Vous irai.
Vous irai.
Vous ira.
Vous irai, you will have. Ils iraient.
Ils ira.
Ils ira.
Ils iraient, they will have. So as we've noticed before for the imperfect tense, the endings for the future tense are exactly the same for ave as for aid. R-A-I for je, R-A-S for tu, R-A for il, al and nous, R-A-I-Z for vous, and R-A-O-N-T for the plural il. So once again, these are the same for all verbs. For example, adormira bien à cesser.
Adormira bio à cesser.
Adormir bio assesse.
Adormira bien à cesser. She will sleep well tonight. So, to summarise, in this video we've seen how to form the imperfect and future tenses for the two important verbs to be and to have. All verbs will have a similar endings, just the stem of the verbs will differ. Just as importantly, the constructions we've learnt will enable us to use the past continuous, the future continuous, and other tenses for all verbs. So, let's end with a brief chat about the use of auxiliary verbs. So, tenses can be formed by constructing the appropriate verb endings, as we've seen with the imperfect and future, or they can be constructed by using what is called an auxiliary verb, another verb which helps the main verb to construct the tense. An example is a future tense in English where will is the auxiliary verb. For example, we will eat, where will helps eat to construct the future tense of to eat. We've said that part of the reason for studying the past and future tense of to be is that it will be used as an auxiliary to construct the past continuous tense. She was working, we were swimming, and so on. And the future continuous tense, you will be travelling, they will be driving. But why are we also emphasising the present, past and future of the verb to have? The reason is that it acts as an auxiliary for the so-called perfect tenses. This is also the case in English. We say, I have eaten, I had eaten, I will have eaten, or she has walked, she had walked, she will have walked. These are very useful and complement the continuous tenses. We have not studied these tenses yet because they have an extra complication that the continuous tenses don't. The continuous tenses in genius ye use the infinitive for the main verb, which comes straight out of the dictionary, whereas the perfect tense, or perfect tenses, use the past participle of the main verb. This needs to be constructed from the infinitive, and it depends on the type of verb. Some of these are regular, and so we have to learn them. In English, the past participle ends in ed if it is regular. So in the two examples that we've just given, walked has this structure. But in the example to eat, the past participle is irregular and is eaten, not eated. So there's no way to avoid the perfect tenses, so one simply has to bite the bullet and learn the rules for forming the past participle as well as the exceptions. So there's a further point that one can make at this stage. In standard French, the past perfect is a standard past tense along with the imperfect. But in Guernsey, it is only used for the immediate past, typically events which took place today. For events before this, the simple past tense or past historic is used. For the verb to eat, this takes the form we ate in English. The past historic is no longer used in spoken standard French, but is still used in literature.